but there's just something missing. It feels awkward. You can also see he's nervous. I mean, it's a good question. And she didn't ask the elephant in the room, but she kind of did.
Blake Lively broke down after Ryan Reynolds subtly tore her down during his spotlight moment at the Time 100 Creative Summit. While delivering jokes, wisdom, and charm, Ryan made no mention of Blake, leaving her to face the silence in the most dramatic way possible.
He didn't actually say anything about Blake Lively, and that's kind of the point.
Not a single mention of his wife, or even a casual shout-out. Honestly, that's just ridiculous, Ryan.
The Ryan Reynolds Hollywood PR machine is in full effect, appearing in both The Hollywood Reporter and the Time 100 Creative.
The Time 100 Creative Summit was meant to be a celebration, a gathering of big thinkers and Hollywood stars, a place for brilliance to shine.
The summit as he swerves these questions about the negative headline.
Instead, Ryan Reynolds used his spotlight to drop what felt like a grenade, and people noticed.
What the headlines are saying about you. So how has that media attention impacted your brand, your businesses?
Well,
I mean, it's a good question.
No, it's like Tina Fey says, if you're feeling good about yourself, just go online.
I mean, that's true, but of course he has to.
During a panel where Ryan Reynolds was being celebrated for his creativity and success, he cracked a joke. But this wasn't your usual lighthearted moment. It was sharp, biting. He said something along the lines of, "Honestly, I've carried most of the creative weight in this household. It's exhausting." Sure, the crowd chuckled. Dry humor is Ryan's signature style, but let's pause for a second. Who exactly was he talking about? You guessed it, Blake. The woman who co-created brands with him, the one who graced red carpets beside him like the perfect PR accessory. But Ryan wasn't done yet.
So true. Honestly, I give a lot of talks to students about storytelling and about, how you can do it in different buckets. You can do it in unexpected ways. My company's North Star is bringing people together in smart, fun, and unexpected ways.
He continued with a long, theatrical story about his creative failures, detailing how he'd been experimenting with projects that just weren't working.
I went, and that also helped with a lot of things too. So those are two weird tools that I didn't expect to advance things in other areas. I didn't become part. My career was an aggregate. It was very slow, so I didn't have that overnight success.
He presented it as a lone battle, failing to acknowledge Blake's crucial role in shaping aviation gin into the powerhouse it has become.
So I had, it was the risk of dying from fame is much, much lower when you get older.
He portrayed himself as a lone genius, with Blake nowhere in the picture.
When I do these talks, sometimes the last one I did, I mentioned that the greatest superpower I ever had in my life, I'm not talking about just my career or anything, was knowing who I am.
Then things took a strange turn. Ryan called himself a creative risk-taker, making it sound like he was carrying dead weight. The implication was loud and clear. The audience laughed, of course, because it was delivered with his signature smirk. But when you break it down, it was a passive-aggressive swipe disguised as sarcasm.
Who is he? He's the guy who clicked when he read the negative and the positive article about himself? So which was it? You're not either of those, okay? Well, how did you know who you are?
Body language experts on TikTok even zoomed in on his micro-expressions, the way he paused after name-dropping their brand collaborations, the tilt of his head when talking about handling everything. It wasn't playful teasing. It was condescending. What struck people most was that he brought it up completely unprovoked. No one expected him to throw Blake under the bus on such a huge platform, especially not with that signature smile. After the interview went viral, Blake disappeared from the online scene. No stories, no witty captions, no red carpet throwbacks, just complete radio silence. And that was completely out of character for her.
I think she's having a great year, and our role is to be the humanities guide to try.
Let's be real. Blake is quick to respond on social media. If there's ever any gossip about her marriage or kids, she usually fires back within hours. But this time, her absence spoke volumes. It felt intentional, almost like her team advised silence. In PR terms, That's a red alert move.
Just Justin, Tim Miller, others. And it seems like Ryan came around and apologized to them. Ryan and Tim apparently are better now. But man,
people definitely took notice. Hardcore fans began digging and noticed she'd quietly unliked a few old posts, ones featuring her and Ryan looking like couple goals. It wasn't a complete cleanse, but subtle enough to raise suspicions. And that's when the speculation started to spiral.
No, it's like Tina Fey says, if you're feeling good about yourself, just go online.
Was this a calculated PR move, going dark, letting the storm pass, then returning with a new campaign and all smiles? Or was it Blake, genuinely hurt, not wanting to face the fallout of her husband publicly shading her on stage? Either way, her silence spoke louder than words.
And that's kind of the point. Fails to mention Blake at the summit as he swerves these questions about the negative headline.
The couple who once flirted openly in comments and shared cheeky birthday posts. Gone silent. No whispers, no playful exchanges, just emptiness. That silence created a vacuum, and the internet spiraled. Reddit threads exploded with wild theories, even referencing that 2022 moment when Blake suddenly skipped a major event. Were there already cracks? Was this just the first public leak? Then there's the power couple angle.
That's the reality check that I think Blake and Ryan are refusing to accept. Just take some accountability, dude. You've dug yourself in such a hole and revealing the forced emails you wanted to do. I mean, we know. I don't have to tell all you guys, but the things he forced and yelled at Justin to do, it's...
Let's not kid ourselves. Ryan and Blake aren't just spouses. They're a brand. Their entire image is built on being the quirky, witty, untouchable Hollywood duo. So, when Ryan publicly downplayed her role in his journey and she stayed silent, that wasn't just silence. It was a calculated strategy.
The storytellers. Ryan Reynolds was on the summit yesterday being interviewed. Not Blake, even though she was being, actually the one on the Time Was 100. She couldn't handle the interview, but Ryan.
Her team knows the stakes, one wrong move, and the media spins it into full-blown divorce watch. So instead of clapping back, she froze the narrative. She stepped out of the spotlight and controlled the noise. It's classic PR containment. But here's the truth. Containment doesn't erase damage. It just buys time.
Not a lot of views. It's Time magazine. But still, you'd think he'd be a big enough star that he'd have a fan base that would be out there defending him and going. But I think even his fans know.
Fans aren't fooled. They've seen this playbook before. The silence, the unfollows, and the inevitable. We're doing just fine photo dump weeks later. It's a familiar cycle. Right now, Blake's in the do not engage phase. The real question is, does she even want to go back to the way things were?
You've intentionally positioned yourself as the face of your many businesses, which obviously has a huge upside. You can feature Deadpool in these commercials. People know who you are. The downside is you cannot always control what the internet is saying.
All right, let's drop the rom-com filter for a second and focus on the man behind the charming smirk and Deadpool one-liners. Sure, Ryan Reynolds may come off as your favorite sarcastic cinnamon roll, but what if that whole funny guy with a heart of gold persona is actually a well-oiled PR machine?
I do these talks. Sometimes the last one I did, I mentioned that the greatest superpower I ever had in my life, I'm not talking about just my career or anything, was...
Let's start with the obvious. Ryan doesn't just do branding, he loves it. From Aviation Gin to Mint Mobile to his goofy dad persona on Instagram, every move is calculated. He's not casually posting dad jokes while sipping gin in a hoodie. This man is plotting his every step. His branding is tighter than Blake's red carpet bun.
So Ryan Reynolds was interviewed on stage and he got some good questions, but of course he didn't answer the question.
And yeah, we've seen it before, how he subtly takes control in interviews. It all seems playful until he interrupts a host mid-sentence to steer the conversation back to his latest project. Watch closely and you'll see it. He's charming, yet directing, like a Marvel villain in a cashmere sweater.
Like your movies, you're funny. I'm going to try to ignore all the other stuff. I still want to see Deadpool, but you, man, yeah.
Don't get it twisted. We're not saying he's evil. He's smart, calculated. The kind of guy who'll joke about his own abs just so you don't notice the effort he puts into maintaining them. It's all part of the strategy.
It does feel odd. It feels forced where he's out there being presented as, oh yeah, we got to put you out there. We got to be the man of the people. Everyone loves Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. But there's just something.
And Blake, if you've ever watched her during those interviews where Ryan speaks for both of them, you've seen it. That smile through clenched teeth, the tight-lipped, thousand-yard stare while he cracks another joke about how she puts up with him. Classic power couple deflection.
Part of the deal in order to get Blake Lively on the list, did Leslie Sloan say, and we'll give you Ryan for your creative summit live in person. Because Blake can't do a live in-person interview like this at this point. I think she's still probably not ready.
But let's not pretend Blake doesn't know what's going on. She's no rookie. She's been in this game long enough to spot a media strategy when it plays out in her own living room. Still, sources suggest she's not exactly thrilled with Ryan's recent dominance of the narrative. It's starting to feel like, I thought this was a partnership, but he's running the show like a one-man sitcom. When you're married to Mr. Media Manipulator, even silence sends a message.
He talked about being a storyteller. He said, I have so many multiple personalities. I'm a storyteller. But Blake was given a...
Now, let's flip the coin to Blake. Ever since Ryan dropped that little jab in the interview, the one that conveniently left her out of the credit, the internet has done what it does best, gone full CSI on her, analyzing every move and clue for answers.
Not scripted at all. She was given a mic at the event tonight and used this moment. And this is the most frustrating thing of all.
It's exhausting, but not new. This whole situation reeks of the same nonsense Demi Moore faced when she simply blinked at a fashion show and the internet turned her face into a national mystery. Or Khloe Kardashian, who's been digitally remixed so many times, we've forgotten her original face.
Publicly humiliating Justin Baldoni as soon as he could, as many times as he could, and using as many A-list actors as he could.
The truth is, Hollywood devours women and labels it beauty standards. Blake just happens to be the latest victim.
Lively shared the couple's plans for the property in South Salem. Of course it's Salem. Isn't that where witches go?
And let's not forget, she's married to Ryan Reynolds, the guy who rocks tuxedos to promote cell phones and somehow still manages to be everyone's internet boyfriend. The bar is set so high, it's practically in space. So yeah, maybe she's cracking a little, maybe it's Botox, maybe it's burnout.
But there's just something missing. It feels awkward. You can also see he's nervous. He feels very nervous. Is he going to get asked a question? At some of these softball places like Time, they clearly aren't. And the question is like, why is he even there at the Time Summit? Was this part of the...
Being the wife of Mr. Perfect isn't just Instagram cute. It's real life exhausting. You've got to smile while he tells the same funny story for the 50th time on Fallon. You've got to stay snatched for red carpets, juggle raising kids, and dodge TMZ. And now, on top of it all, you've got to deal with fan theories about your marriage falling apart. All because your husband forgot to include you in his funny man takes credit for everything routine. No thanks.
I felt like it was very aggressive, I agree, and I can't fault somebody for wanting to stick up for their partner, but there were parts of it as I was reading it, I couldn't help but feel like it was a bit petty.
Let's be real. The pressure to stay relevant in Hollywood is already insane, but for women, it's a full-time job with overtime and zero breaks. Blake could be going through a normal, human rough patch, and suddenly it's, has she had work done? Meanwhile, Ryan is out there aging like fine wine, getting praised for it. The double standard is glaring, and we all feel it. Here's the kicker. Every time Blake steps back, every time she goes quiet, every time she skips a selfie, it becomes news. Silence? That's her scandal. On the other hand, Ryan can crack a joke at her expense, and people just say, oh, he's so relatable. Whether she's had work done, or is just done with the drama, Blake's stuck in a cycle of relentless scrutiny. Too perfect, she's fake. Too quiet, she's hiding something. Too candid, she's unstable. There's no winning.
How does all the negative attention affect your businesses? Because if you scroll through the comments of this video, Team Justin all the way.
One thing's for sure. This whole post-interview mess didn't just rattle fans. It shattered the glittery facade of power couple goals and perfect holiday photos. There's tension, PR damage control, and one very tired woman who might be giving side-eye to her husband's next joke. And honestly, who could blame her?